So welcome everybody here to the Martin Segal Theatre Center. My name is Frank Henschke and I'm the executive director of the Segal Center. We bridge academia and professional theater, international and American theater, in an evening like tonight where we have a representative from the world, from the global world, but also in a way from the local New York theater scene is right at target at what we do. The Segal Center is unapologetically a globalist. Now we hear and learn a word that is used to insult people, but I think we feel this is of real importance to listen from voices all around the world. It is actually what makes the world, life, art interesting, and it's unimaginable that musicians would not listen to music from all around the world, to have their own music be better. We welcome the ensemble The Pack and Hansol Jung with us. So these are three ensemble members, and it is Esco Juliet, Nicole Villamil, and Mitchell Winter, and of course the great Hansol Jung. And the evening will not be longer than an hour. We have a little reception afterwards. It will be a reading at the very beginning, an episode reading from the Wolf play, I think. And then we will have a conversation. Then we will end it with, after a couple of questions, with Marry Me, which you guys will be doing. So I think this is an important evening. We have to listen to the artists. You're also part of the Kilroy Project, if I say that. And this is a statistic that said, out of 100 plays that are being shown, only 21 are from women, and only 3 of them, are from around the world. But then a woman from another world place is 0.2% or 0.3. It's so wrong. If anything, we need to listen to voices from the surroundings. We know what's happening at the center. Often it's not interesting. Often it's not good, and we know that already. What we do need to hear, what we do not know, places where we haven't been, the refugee shelters, the free educational programs who come out not of institutions but of community projects. And I think this is where new ideas are developed, and we need them so badly, because as we see now, things are not working. So this evening is our contribution towards that. We also welcome our viewers on HowlRound. And whenever we put up now a conversation, often people say, I can watch it at home. We did over 200 Zoom talks during the time of Corona, so we welcome all our viewers, also from around the world, who are with us tonight. So perhaps we start with the very, very first reading.
Right.
Here we go. We put up a mic, so here. Huh?
I'm not going to use the mic.
Okay, can you hear it?
Can you hear me okay?
Okay, good. So the mics in the rooms are working. Here we go.
Oh my God.
Is there a place you don't want me to move?
No, it's for the recording, but I think the mic.
I can move anywhere then.
Yeah, it's good.
What if I said, I am not what you think you see? I'm not an actor human. This floor is forest earth, and to the left of that glaring exit light, a river flows. The width and length and velocity of the Egyptian Nile. You are not what you feel you are. You are a spider, the size of your eyelash. Or an eagle, flying, 2,000 feet above our heads. Or the mother of the newest, freshest pine cone dangling over that aisle. We are riding on the back of a giant turtle, hurtling through the cosmos in a 4.54 billion year race against the tiniest of the tiniest white Easter rabbits. What if I said, you the single most important breath in my space. You are the first gear that turns the clock of my world. You are the final drop of dew that breaks down the universal dam of miscommunication. I need you with every blood cell and cranial nerve I possess. And you believe me? But does that change anything? What if I said, oops, actually, no. We are sitting in a rented space on top of concrete ground, laid upon a planet fast losing her steam. You are barely a breath in the time-space continuum. You're here, you're gone. We'd all move on without a care. You do not make an impact. You do not give or take anything of import in your ridiculous little life on this plastic earth. I am exactly what you think you see. I am indeed an actor human. Paid in cash or credits or so much love. To say these words that a writer human wrote so that I might speak them in my actor human resonant voice. You are indeed the idiot that decided to pay to be squeezed in that little seat in the dark, which you shall never retrieve. You may not take pictures or recordings. You must silence all cell phones, beepers, candy wrappers, alarm clocks, and all alarmedness in general, or we will tweet about you and your ignorance to the entire world during our green room smoke break. And you are exactly what you feel you are. That is the truth. Is that the truth? You may think about this while some people are turning the noisy things off. Go on. Oh. The truth is a wobbly thing. We shall wobble through our own set of truths like jello on a freight train. And tonight, I add a bump to that journey and put to you my truth. I am not what you think you see. I am the wolf. Ow! Yes, I am the wolf. Ow! And then again, because 3 translates to God in Bible, infinity in Asia, and funny in theatre. I am the wolf.
Thank you so much, Mitchell. This is a great introduction. Again, welcome to Hansol and the company, Asko and Nicole, and also to our audience. I know you all know it, but I just will read a little bit for all of you who don't. We heard just an excerpt, of the Obie award-winning play Wolf Play, and Hansol has emerged as one of the leading voices of a new generation of global playwrights, exploring themes of displacement, identity, family, among others. And her plays traverse geographically and psychologically big, large, and vast landscapes, full of surprises and non-linear, as we heard from, who said it? From someone from the Mayan Theater Company. She is a playwright from South Korea, as we said, and productions also include Marry Me, a wolf play, which we just heard, Wild Goose Dreams, cardboard plays, Among the Dead, No More Sad Things. She's the winner of the Lucille Hotel Best Play Award, the Obie Award, Steinberg Award, the Whitening Award, the Helen Mirren Award. It goes on and on. Jolla Playhouse, these things have been produced, the public. Mayi Theatre, the Oregon Shakespeare Company, and developed at the Royal Court in London, at the New York Theatre Workshop, Sundance, the O'Neill, the Lark, and many, many others. You got the Rita Goldberg Fellowship, Page 33 Fellowship, MacDowell Artist Residency, and the International Playwrights Residency at the Royal Court. I don't know if that was still with Elise Dockson when she was still there. Yeah, which was a great friend of our center, and we miss her terribly. She has also written for Netflix series Tales of the City and the Apple series Pachinko, which I'm sure all have heard of. And she's developing new film projects for film and television with Bad Robot, Amazon Studios, Apple TV, Fifth Season Productions, Kindred Spirits, and others. She's part of the New York City's Usual Suspects, New York City Workshop's Usual Suspects, Kilroy's, as we earlier mentioned, and she's the founding member of the play collective, The Pack. And we have you here, and you said, I would like to bring my pack, I would like to have them. So before we come to you, tell us a little bit. You take the microphones, you all, and you can put the little switch up. You also hear.
1, 2. Oh,
and
testing.
And you are such a successful playwright from what we just heard, actually, these beautiful lines that already open us up, confuse us, and give us an insight in your mind. Why did you feel the urge to say, I need a theater company, an ensemble?
Well, they're here today because you asked me to read some excerpts of my play, and I didn't want to. So it was like, will you come read them? I mean, they originated those roles. Mitch originated Wolf, and Esco and Nicole originated Sappho and Horn of Marry Me, and I was like, you probably would do it way better than I do, and you know, it's always less intimidating when there's other voices to fill the void and other faces to look at.
But why did you found the company? Why did you feel like, I need that?
I don't know. I think it's sort of a long story. I'm going to try to do it real quick, but I feel like you said, a lot of the themes I've been writing about in my earlier, God, I feel so old, decade of the career that I've had so far is about displacement. It's about family or the necessity of. It's about loneliness. I think was my preoccupation for a long time. That was the drive, and I felt like Wolf Play was just all about those things. So that I started this play when I was just going out of grad school, and I'm like, do I need to stay? Do I need to go back home to Korea? I don't understand why I would write in my English is my second language. So I was like, why would I do this for not my people? And it was very confusing. What is family? What do I choose? How do I find the gravity to orbit around? And that's what that play was. It's that confusion of where do I belong? How do I choose? And 8 years, it took 8 years for anybody to understand what that play was, or for me to understand it. And then we finally got a New York premiere at Soho Rep. It got shut down because of COVID on the 4th day of our tech. 4th?
Yeah. One day away from previews.
Yeah, and then Soho Rep decided to recommit to do it 2 years later. So it's like Esco and Nicole, who were in that first iteration, had like marinated into those roles. And the second time we did it, it was like a completely new set. Also everybody else had like the team, the design team, and Dustin was the director, had like marinated in these ideas much longer than you normally would get as a new play crew and cast. And you know, it was like really difficult because we all came in and like had masks on. It was the first room we were in 2 years. Everything felt like it was at a 14 times 1,000. And then it was like using the play to get out all our anxieties, and there was like pluses and minuses to that. And then and then we got a remand at MCC, and it was like incredible because we went through the version where it was marinated and we were like anxietying out, and now we are like at this place where we can achieve distance as well as intimacy, and like the way they knew each other was so incredibly intimate. I think like it's so beautiful to watch these 5 people interact with each other, even like Dustin direct them, because like there's such a quick shorthand and fun and joy in the collaboration. And I remember in closing night I went to see it with Dustin, and it was like watching Olympic athletes like throw stuff around, and like with such like the level of trust of like synchronized swimming that you see that like I've never seen before happen in any of my plays, which arguably are pretty complicated and weird, nonlinear. Most people when they first read it are like, what is happening? But to see it every beat, every moment be so clear as to what is happening when you see a wolf howling, you're like, yeah. That's just was such a gift. And I was like, I feel like there's several things to it. One of it is my ability to trust and let them play. That was built out of 4 years of working on this play together, but also their ability to like embrace the characters and the world beyond my understanding of it from the inside. And so I was like, let's try and do this from ground floor, where I don't have any pages, and I'm just building stuff. I'll bring in like 5 pages that I'm like cringing at. You'll read them and we'll cringe together, but then like come up with like the 3 sentences that are pinging, and then build more. And that was the theory. We started a year ago, and it's a year out now, and we've done some workshops. We were at Berkeley Rep ground floor. We have a commission coming with MTC. And we were hosted with the public. The workshop, I think we also because we made career collated our resources, and we're able to work hard and intensely and intimately. And I mean, a year out, I have written 4 plays that didn't exist a year ago, which for me is a lot. For anybody, I think it's
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. First, congratulations that you are almost at the first anniversary of the baby, and you all found it together. Maybe I mixed it up, and I thought it was but it was in a way your initiative. You said you build plays. You don't write a play. Maybe before we come to you, a question to your artistic collaborators. What does it mean to work with a playwright that build plays and doesn't write plays? Clifford Odets of the group theater famously was sent up in the attic, and he had a typewriter, and they said, don't come out before it's done, and it worked. But he also knew the actors, they were all friends, but it was a different way. How do you guys work with a playwright like Hansol? Can you give us an idea of that kind of what I think important way of producing?
Okay, but help me out. Go with me on this journey here, right? Okay, cool. I mean, like today we're at Mercury store and we're there for a week, and you get to play again. We're doing plays, but it's rare that you get to go into a room and actually play in a sandbox, and then you remember that, oh, I'd forgotten how to actually play, like when I was a little kid, being like, I am a giraffe. Yep, I'm a giraffe, and but like we're doing that, somebody was Santa Claus today, and we're like, yes, you are Santa Claus. And just the joy that brings, and that also, informs Hansol. I don't know how with, these clowns over here, but it gives you some kind of juice that turns into pages that we end up reading, being like, I don't know how you got that from us just literally having fun. What I want to say is that we really try to push the boundaries of like playing and having fun with each other, to really try to find out what we can find out that's new. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we're trying to remember the core of fun, hope, joy, laughter, sadness, anger, all those things. Like, what is that, and how does that make a person, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that you want number 4? Hello. I think that a lot of Hansol's writing is about having the audience be really engaged in the experience, so that you're not sort of sitting back and just watching it, but you're an active participant in the thing that's being created. And I think that she so wants everyone's active participation, both from audience and from the performer. So she's so attuned to like writing to our strengths and writing to like what's in the room in a really exciting way, that feels very immediate and feels like it's like what theater should be, where it's being created in front of you together. We're all breathing in the same space, and that we're all an active part of its story. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'll add is I think to work with Hansol in this way requires a lot of, I guess, vulnerability from her to, you know, we're reading pages that are only just written, you know, like 5 pages of something, we don't even know what it is, and she's offering those pages up to be butchered by us somewhere. Oh no, but to be read by us, and it's I think it requires a lot of trust and faith from all collaborators in the room to do that. And the cool thing about it is that that begins the conversation. It begins the back and forth, which just never happens. And yeah, we're all informing each other, and I think pushing each other, lifting each other up, celebrating each other, and reaching out to each other and going, yep, come on, let's see what we can do with this. Let's see where we can go, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, it would be an example, as Hans Tieslima would say, of a post-traumatic writing, that writing is important, you know, in that theory of theater where it's light and movement and objects and set design. And words are important. They're not more, but also not less important. But why writing, what has changed is the way writing is produced. Mm-hmm. So if I understand right, you have a room at the Mercury and you come in with blank pages or a typewriter, a computer, a printer, and you give them prompts, or you write a line, or they do something and you put it in. It's interesting to know that she's one of the most successful American playwrights, also a globally watched playwright, and I don't think that's what they teach at Columbia University, right? In the writing workshop. So how does it give us an idea? How does it look like? How does it work?
We're a year out, so we're still experimenting here and there. I mean, when I was wooing them into doing this with me, I said, I'll write a play for me, and I'll write a play for the actors, and I'll write a play for the director. It's not clean cut like that, but I think we're right now, I'm just like trying out different ways of building plays, of like, I'll just, you know, I know who's in it, and then I'll write a play that I care about, and then they'll bring their artistry.
But you sit at a table and have a printer, or you give
directions,
or what do you do?
In that case, I just like, we went to Berkeley with 30 pages. We called it a heist because like they said, yes, all 8 of you come based on these terrible 30 pages. And we got there, and I was like, oh, great, the goal is to come out of this week with a play, with end of play at the end, at the final page. And you know, what happened was I went into a room and wrote, and they just like fucked around.
So you had some pages,
right?
some
Some
pages,
songs.
you had some pages prepared.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and then they just like, you know, made really stupid videos while I was writing. And then when I came in with pages, they would read them and like give notes or thoughts, or like read them differently. And I went away to write again some more, and while I was writing, they wrote a song, and they're like, put it in. And I'm like, okay, put the song in the play. And it's like that sort of like, it forces me as a writer to stay porous and stay generous and be like, I don't understand how the song goes into this play, but me trying to do that generates stuff. And there's another, I mean, and at the Mercury story now, I don't have anything. All I have is a blurb, is an idea. It's a response to Dennis Williams' play Camino Real, because me and Dustin Wills, the director, read it while we were on a trip in Italy last summer, and like was probably a little drunk on wine, but like was crying, and we're like, yes, this is what we must do. And so that's the play that we want to write together. I don't have any lines, no characters. I know it's these 5 actors and maybe one more. I know that it's going to be on a boat. And so now we're just starting with like, okay, what does the group dynamic look like? What does it look like when it's fun, when it's heavy? What does it look like when it's disparate versus all together? And like, what can we play with? Sound. What can we play with? Puppetry. What can we play with in terms of the physicality of it? And find those pieces and like force myself to write those into. And the best part of it is I'm like, I'm not going to use your song, and they'll be fine about it. If I'm like to Dustin, I don't want to use your boat platform, he'll be fine about it because there's like a given trust about it. It's just the process, and me trying to work what they want or like what they created into the play is, you know, even if I don't understand it, it like forces me to like think out, externalize my things instead of like everything coming from just me, my internal, my needs, my desires, my anxieties, and the way I express it. It's like using your expression of the world around you, which is the world I'm in as well, and like trying to coalesce it into one thing that they can perform authentically.
So you in a way co-create as an ensemble that knows each other for 4 or 5 years, have, you know, can build on that. Even if you don't know what you're going to do, you know what you're not going to do. But this is not directing, right? They are directors, writers work with it. So you create that, and then a director comes in and does whatever he, they, them wants. How does that work then with Dustin? Is he going to direct this?
Yes, Dustin is part of the pack.
Is he in the rehearsal room?
Yes, Dustin's. The pack is these 3 and 2 more actors, and Dustin and Lexi Louisville as the dramaturg and producer. And so it's just like cooking things together. And I'm also writing a play with Lexi that was co-commissioned. That was commissioned for us to co-write. We have another play that's a 2-person play that the actors have actually just self-directed or are self-directing right now. I mean, the sort of delineation of I'm the writer, you're the actor, director. I think at some point when we just need to like get the thing up is important, yes. But I think the sort of luxury that we're experiencing or really just delving into right now is, you know, erasing the boundaries and just playing.
So Dustin directs. So at the end, you have a finished play because he already, in a way, directs whatever emerges, what appears.
Yeah, and he's taking lead at the Mercury store. It's like more director-based, and he's like bringing pieces to life, or like looking at the physicality, the formality before even we talk about characters or story. And I will start from that and try to build a story from what he's built.
What I find fascinating of this method of producing an author, of course, even the word is close to authority. You know, the writer, the author, who's higher in the hierarchy, the director, who boss people around. So in theater, often you see ways of behavior that are absolutely against what the intention of a play might be about politically, as a way of, you know, showing social progress. So how come that the way you produce has nothing to do often? People are paid differently, so it's the way what you show. And I think there was a great German director, writer, René Polish, who died too young, from the Volksbühne, who felt very strongly that the distribution of the text, you know, should be decided also by the actors. They also write; they have the same rights. So is this for you also a political statement, a socially engaged art where you want to represent a world in the way you want to see it, so you're part of that, or is it just the way you play best?
I've always understood politics to be an amalgam of your opinions about, or your point of view of the world. And if that's true, every piece of art is political. I'm not saying I'm an activist or trying to do that, but the way I engage with my collaborators, the way I engage with how they are compensated and credited, is my point of view and my belief of how the world should be. So in that way, I think, yes, what important thing for us, the pack, is to level the playing ground in terms of compensation. And it takes a long time to do that, because if we look at the first thing we did when we first met, and we did like a boot camp, and we started like, okay, what's our vision? What are we doing? What are we? We started talking about like, okay, so what do you get paid for what? In terms of dramaturg, director, and like when you do new plays versus when you're teaching, like, you know, we started actually talking about it and being like, okay, so what are we doing? How are we compensating for our work? And one of the most, a very, very big priority for me at least is making sure we are all compensated equally and in a way that we feel like this is worth our time and work. It's not just like friends doing things for free. And you know, it's really tricky because a playwright owns their own material and thus is paid differently commission-wise, or like you work for free until the product is sold. And actors and directors sometimes, dramaturgs definitely get treated as work for hire, day players, week players. And I think we're trying to figure out how to do that. So like what we're doing right now is like we're getting paid the same amount every week. Like if I'm spending 1 week to write this and nobody else is, I just like log in, I did 1 week and we're all here together. That means like we're all just getting the 1 week pay. And it feels a bit, I don't know, communist, but it's like for now an experiment, and maybe we'll find smarter ways to do this or balance it out. And also I don't know, like, it's hard to theorize on this with just where we're just gestating and don't have a product to sell to the capitalist market. However, the dream is that once it is up there and we have all authored it in our own respective corners of the thing existing, that I feel like we should, you know, sort of divvy up the profits if it goes on. And the mechanics of that, the contracts and legalities and all of that feel like a little like stuff to work out. But I mean, that's also when I wooed them, I was like, I'm gonna give you a percentage of my play, is what I said.
Yeah, so we once had an actor here who worked at the public theater. He said, I could not pay my hamburger in the restaurant inside the library. It's so expensive. He said, I was in the production, which was called, quote unquote, the diverse minority, whatever, but it's in the smaller theater, then you get paid less, actually, than the other actors. You know, and the way it's produced, you know, is you hire, you know, someone tells you what to do. And so this is a radically different way of creating work, which I think is contemporary art, how you do it ensemble-based, shared authorities. I think that happens, I think, around the world, perhaps a little bit more than here, but I think it's an excellent ensemble. So question to the actors, how is then text distributed? How do you select it, what you want to say and whatnot? And with whom do you check it? With your fellow actors, with the director, with the playwright? How is that unique process on stage, in the rehearsal room?
In terms of which, like, characters we play?
No, how you select text and how you do it. How do you negotiate it?
How do you mean? As in, like, how do we select the text?
Yeah, you have to. Theater is about making agreements, I think. You know, that's why we love it. Humans have time together in a space and say, you come here, then I come there, you say this. How do you, if it's not in the authority hand of the author or the authoritative director, how do you negotiate it, and what are your rules of the game?
I think it still behaves much like I think Hansol still is sort of like, you're playing this role, you're playing this role. Although there is space to be like, I've played this character, this type of character in like the last 2 plays, I want to play something else. Like her play Backyard Boys that we're working on started because I said I want to play a villain, because I always play these sort of like, I don't know, neurotic, hapless people. And I was like, I want to play someone evil. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna write that for you. And so
Neurotic, hapless villain.
That's true. That's
you
true.
do that.
but still evil. So I think that in the ideation of it, she's very much taking like our interests into consideration of like what kind of material or kind of play or kind of character gets generated. But then I think, it's very much like we know what characters we're playing once we're sort of in the rehearsal room, and I think it operates much like a normal rehearsal room in that sense. Although I will say I've never felt as valued as an actor as much as I have working in this group. I feel like my voice matters. I feel like I'm serving her vision as much as I'm serving my own vision, and that feels incredibly fulfilling in ways that it doesn't in other rooms.
Yeah, we're not devised theater. It's like there is text that exists.
But still, actors also, if I understand right, decide, does it work or not, or you decide then.
Yes.
Yeah, Mitchell.
Yeah, and I guess, we've definitely, there are some things where we've tried different actors reading lines at times, and it's super valuable. It's so different on each person and just lifts up different things. So that's a thing that's really useful for us to do. And then I think we just have such as an actor, I feel like I have such a different relationship to the text than a play that is given to me that I've auditioned for or something. And we've worked on plays since we started the collective, and I come at them and I begin them and I'm just like, there's just so much more. It's not even like, there's so many conversations or versions of things that we've nixed or that we've began or got roads we've gone down, discussions we've had that we've been a part of from being in the room from day one that I'm just not in on when I come to see a rehearsal on a finished play. And it just, I began something and I was like, I feel like I don't know enough. Or I feel like I'm missing so much when I'm beginning this as opposed to when I've worked on stuff that we've been working on.
Oh my God, I had something to say, then I lost it.
Okay.
Yes, but Hansol really asks for our feedback, which is quite different than a lot of places that I've been in. And the fact that we have the same goal, I'm gonna let you get your water cap. It's because I love you. That we have the same goal of trying to build a real human. And when I go into other processes, I feel very behind, like Mitchell is saying, that I need more information to make this person that somebody else can see themselves in. And this process, just like our characters they just get to be so rich. Like me being able to spend 4 years with Ash which is a character from Wolf Play. I'm hungry for those experiences more. Because when I'm telling you this story, I know the story so well that it's like, you're gonna be able to go on this magical journey because I know the text so well. I've been in it in a place that I've never got to experience before as actors, because we're day players. And we have to, what people don't know is that we have to use so much of our magic into other people's work because we don't get enough time with it. And I don't think that we are actually, what word do I want to use for that? Respected for that? That much of how much work we have to put in for like Law and Order. You know nothing. You know come on, Dick Wolf. You know absolutely, you get these pages and you're just like, what? And so at home you're doing a self-tape and you're like, I'm directing and becoming the writer and all this stuff, and then you hire me and I did all the work. And with this, it's just so shared, and it feels good. Like Hansol does know us, so it's she says, try this character out. I think you might be able to find some juice in there, but we do have a choice of
Could you guys say before opening that, I don't want to say this text, can I put this in?
Yes,
Yeah.
all the time. I'm like, can I say this? No.
We can ask.
You can ask. Of course. The door's open.
Honestly, though, I feel like Hansol knows us so well that if I'm struggling with a line or something's really tricky, Hansol will also be ahead of it too, and being like, what are you feeling about this? What's going on with this? You know, what are you thinking about with this or whatever? And so it's kind of like the advantage of working the way we do is that she knows me so well. She knows what I try to do to make something work when I'm just exhausting myself trying to make it work. So then maybe she might be like, oh, maybe I'll adjust the writing there, or maybe it's, you know, so that conversation is always there and can always happen.
As they say in Monty Python, now to something completely different, but close to it. When you were 6, you moved to South Africa from Korea. Your father studied to become a Presbyterian minister, is that right? And like that wolf in the play, you're an animal in a different, in a way, in a different field. What do you remember from that time? What are the first things you remember? What?
South Africa?
Yeah, as a child there.
Yikes. I don't really, I was also there during apartheid. I was an honorary white person. That was because during apartheid you need to have like a racial class that sort of designates where you are allowed to go. For some reason I was a white person, whereas like Chinese people were colored people. Like that sort of there was like a confusion of that, and also we were living in the white projects, but like really right next to like I guess like a black ghetto, because we were in a port. It was just like very, very, the whole, it was very confusing. Also, I didn't speak English or Afrikaans, but I was in Afrikaans kindergarten and went to an English school while my dad worked with, you know, poor black people. It was just like, you know, just very unsettling. And also very fine, because it was beautiful, and we were just walking around bare feet. And I think there's a sense of, that's sort of where, and this is also like stuff my therapist can't even touch, because it's so weird. And they're like, well, what's your relationship like with your father? I'm like, I don't think that's it. I think it's just, there's something like, there's a huge bond in my family, and there's always a sense of outsideness. And so that sort of weird thing of being white but also Asian, literally the only Asian person in the whole school with me and my siblings. I think that sort of like is a profound way to understand identity and race, or like confuse identity and race. That's one part of it. The other thing I remember is I really loved rugby. Loved it. Like I would, you know, I'm a girl, and like I'm a tiny girl, but I would just like get skinned on the knees while playing rugby with these boys on tar. And I'd be like, yes, I got skinned in my knee again. I'm like, you didn't know you're a lesbian, really? But that was the thing that sort of, at least while I was there till 96, late 95. That's when South Africa, with Nelson Mandela as the president, was finally, the sanction was broken, they were finally allowed to compete on the international stage, hosted the 95 Rugby World Cup, and won it with the first ever racially integrated team. So like, I think there's something about the adrenaline of sports and unity, and just, you know, that sort of like, I don't know if it's correct, but like got warped in my brain of like the narrative of the dynamic of the, after an adrenaline rush together, you become family, is sort of like a North Star for me, I think.
And do you remember scenes or images from that time when you were 6 or 7?
6 or 7?
Your father, your family, your school. What?
I remember. This is really sad. I remember. This is like they just put me in school, in kindergarten, Afrikaner school, and I'm like, I know like 3 words. Like I know toilet, I know hungry, and home. like those were like the three words that they drilled into me before. And like, you know, also nobody cares. It's Afrikaans school, like it's Afrikaans. And I remember like sitting on the seesaw and like just wanting someone else to sit on the other side of the seesaw so I could seesaw, and just like sitting there during the entire lunch hour, just staring at. It was so sad. And then I was like, go home and I'd cry every day.
Happy memories.
Happy memories. There's a lot. I just don't know what's interesting to listen to. Me and my best friend, when I finally learned how to speak, I'm like 7 years old now. I'm a white person now, and we invented this game called 100 Door House, which is that we would just run around the field opening doors, and the two of us would irritate the shit out of everybody because we would just like open the door in front of someone's face and be like, "Oh my God, you're here! What are you?" And they're like literally in a game of cricket, and like, so we would, and like she would start on that corner, I would start on this corner of the field, and like we would run around opening doors in people's faces, and then like come together and tell each other what we did at the other end of the house. Why am I telling you this?
No, it's plays like rugby games. They are connection, but we just to listen. So, did you see performances there? Did you saw puppet plays, visiting companies, or?
Well, yeah, my dad was at Stellenbosch University, which is a very big music conservatory, and we went to, because my mom and dad love classic music. Also, my sister was like this piano prodigy and was like winning national awards in South Africa, and I played the violin. Really thought I was going to be a violinist, and so yeah, from a very young age, we went to a lot of concerts, symphonies.
Yeah, I remember we were friends with the Handspring Company. You know, who based.
Handspring, yes.
Yes,
of course.
Basil Jones, who were based there, and he said a lot of their work came from watching traveling puppet companies, the large animals.
Yeah.
What they did, puppets. He said, he talked about a lesbian character. He said we couldn't. Well, you would go to jail, but because it was a puppet, no, you couldn't put a puppet in jail. What she said. He said this was our way of getting around with it. We were part, actually, of the resolution.
Right?
Yes, yeah, and Cape Town, I think mostly, but also in Johannesburg, and I thought about maybe to talk about animals because they come up, the geese, the penguins, the wolves, of course. Tell us a little bit of the animal world, or that spirit world, or the ghosts also, which you have of the missing fathers. So much, of course, is about it, but is that, what does it mean to you to have animals on your plays on stage?
I know, Frank asked me this actually before we started, gave me a heads up. I just have no idea why I do this. I really do not. It's just, it's not like I love animals or anything either. I don't know. But like every director, poor Dustin and Lee Silverman, who I work with a lot, are always like, I had like an actual real fight with Lee about the penguins in Wild Goose Dreams, and she was like, just what are the penguins? I was like, they're there.
Well, in a way, it's the father who has to stay home and can't fly away with it
There's
in the
different ways,
superficial
yeah.
interpretation. Yeah.
Right. There's the father. There's the fact that you can't fly. There's also they're just funny looking. I had like a weird phase where they were just in my dreams a lot. I don't know exactly why, and like explaining it sort of
Takes away
a
something
little
from
bit,
it.
yeah.
Maybe if you knew, you never had to do it. Another thing which was surprising to me, one kind of thinks about it, but I think you translated 30 American musicals into Korean language. Is that true?
Correct. Oh yeah, I think a little more than that.
More.
Actually, yeah. There was like
So I know it was also a job, but also you like musicals, or you what?
yeah, that's
Tell us a
that's
little
my
bit
entry
about
drug.
that.
That was my entry drug. I was going to do musical theater. I was directing. I came to the States because Penn State.
You came back to Korea when you were 13, right? And then
Yes,
at
I went back.
23 or something, you came to the US.
Well, I went to NYU first as an
NYU.
exchange student in an exchange student program. Unfortunately, saw Alan Cumming in Cabaret, lost my damn mind, and yeah, and then I went to like 2 or 3 shows every week since then while I was at NYU, and then that was the end of my life.
So, and you had friends who had a publishing house that I would like to translate the.
No.
No, how does? Oh, you did it for yourself?
Yeah. I was a weird little kid. I decided after assisting this, my first like job in theater was right after I came back from NYU, and then I got a job. I was assistant directing this guy from New Jersey who was hired to come and direct Jekyll and Hyde in Seoul. It was a massive hit, and he still directs there now, but he like really took me under his wing, and he was like, you should come house sit for me in New Jersey. I have a huge library and read all these musicals, and you should pick one and do it. I was like, okay. For some reason. By the way, I'm 21 years old. I picked Baby. Do you know Baby the musical?
I'm afraid not.
That's really okay. Baby the musical is about people having babies in their 20s and 30s and 40s. There's like these 3 couples that it's all about them either having a baby, not being able to have a baby, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't have a baby right now. I'm not like a very baby person, but for some reason I chose it and translated it, and translated the songs. So that's not translating. That's like rewriting lyrics, and then I directed it and produced it. It was terrible, but the guy who produced Jekyll and Hyde, who actually is the producer on Gatsby on Broadway right now, he bought the translation from me. I was like, eh. And then since there were like 2 other people doing this back then, other people were like, hey, so like you translate? I'm like, sure. And then I just started doing it, and it ballooned because there were so many shows going up in Korea.
So you didn't study theater then or playwriting right away. So tell us a bit about your journey.
Yeah, I was doing violin, and then I was going to be a politician, and then I saw.
You wanted to be, or your family?
Wanted to be.
Why?
No idea. Power. Although, let's not go there.
So you joined the party in.
No, I didn't. I wanted to be in international politics. But then I did, I went down this road of musical theater, and then like people were buying, I was translating as a side job, and then that just became a real job, and then I went to school for it in the States, and then I went to school while I was at Penn State doing musical theater directing, took a class with undergrad program, and really preferred it to directing. And
so you first thing you studied was directing at Penn State.
Yeah, and then playwriting at Yale, and then more writing after that. Just yeah.
Incredible. To the ensemble, how does it feel? How does it feel to work with Hansol as an artist? And what do you see in her? What we, of course, don't know, wish to see, but we don't know.
I mean, it's sort of what I would. Hello. Sort of what I was saying before, but I do think that like she really forces you to be an active participant in what you're watching. Like so much of Wolf Play was about, and especially that monologue that Mitch just did, is about invoking your imagination and forcing you to maybe see what's not there, to see beyond what your own expectations are or your own prejudices are or whatever it might be, and to force you into thinking differently. And I think that that's a really magical and necessary part of being in and watching live theater. Like I think it creates ripple effects and affects change, and I think that is vital.
I think Hansol likes to torture actors. Hansol likes to set impossible tasks for actors to do. Like, you can't just speak words, you have to like speak, but you're in another galaxy, plus you're operating a something or other, plus you're doing a something or other. She sets these, just these things that are impossible to achieve. But I think it says a lot about who she is and what she's trying to do. It's like it's not okay to just do what's done or what we're doing all the time. It's like it's pushing, it's stretching, it's kind of expanding, and it's really bloody hard. But if we get there, sometimes we have moments where it feels really rewarding. But yeah.
That's why we need 4 years to make a play.
Honestly, like there's something we're working. I mean, even with a show that we're working on right now with cocktails. I mean, it feels impossible. I don't know how we're gonna do it. Or like we need to be a master of something before else. We can't just be actors. We have to be a master at something else as well. And it's like, I think there's something she enjoys watching it. In a funny, she likes the power of that.
Power, yes.
But there's something. I think there's something in the attempt that is thrilling or something. And it might be linked to the sports thing of like, it's like, I don't know. Now I'm just diagnosing everything you've just said. But
there's vulnerability in like someone really trying to do something that's impossible. Hey.
Yes.
When did you get to hold the microphone? So much fun. I started in musical theater, and my first straight play, I didn't go to school for acting, was Wolf Play. Yeah, I know you didn't know that. And I guess I felt musical theater was a place where I started feeling I didn't fit in anymore, or where I found out that I was in a mold that didn't really fit. And entering that room for Wolf Play, and I don't know why you asked me to audition, but it was like something clicked. I don't know what it was, but there's something about me and this person that clicks. Sometimes, like I don't know, I don't know. I feel like we're just supposed to be in each other's orbits right now, and trying to figure out how to do it respectfully and artistically, and I don't know, but I keep asking myself for good reasons, but I understand something when we do things, and
Before we come to audience question, let's just talk a little bit about Marry Me, which to me is almost like a K-pop Hamlet machine. It's kind of wild, reworking of classics, condensed quotations. Some of them is here's Euripides, Iphigenia. It's William Wycherley's The Country by the Restoration comedy. Tony Kushner's Angel shows up but has 8 vaginas. There is Sappho, 50 Shades of Grey is part of it. The Hunger Games are mentioned. And I think someone says, oh no, I think, are you sure you are in the right play? So is this confusion which we feel, I think, in that world where we are. And tell us a little bit that kind of cosmic joke you are doing in a way with that play as a play. It's a meta play, and why do you think it's right for this time we are in, or how did you come to that?
I'm not sure if it's right for this time or not yet, but I came to it because Lee Silverman, after Wild Goose Dreams, asked me to write a lesbian sex farce, and that's just not in my wheelhouse. And so she's like, well, do an adaptation of a restoration comedy, which is what I did. I found Country Wife, which I read in high school, didn't really like, but I was like, hey, but like, if I just turn the guy, do you know Country Wife? It's about Harry Horner who goes around, like, he's like the village fuckboy, and then all the husbands are very like wary of him, so he like comes up with this idea, like, tell everyone that my dick is broken and then they'll have sex with me again. So I was like, I'll do that, but like, he's a girl. And the play will write itself. It did not, because male desire, or the trajectory thereof, is different than female desire, and like whatever I was like transposing into in my play, Lieutenant Shane Horn just didn't feel right. It just felt like it felt exactly like that I was just putting this man on drag, not really creating a human, and so I started pulling in other plays from other eras of theater history that had to do with, or I was pivoting on the subject of male desire, which I feel like Iphigenia was that, Angels in America, to some degree Outtown, and sort of like put that in as and like did transpose all of those things into that. So like in our play, our Iphigenia is Willie, Willie Memnon, son of Agamemnon.
Memnon, yes.
Yes. So Willie is the Iphigenia who has to be sacrificed. And so like sort of flipping a lot of things I think was helpful in terms of coming to the conclusion of like what is the journey of female desire and orgasm. And then I just started, once I started bringing in those other plays, I just like lost my mind and started bringing in everything I could see to just, and then it became like a Hamlet machine, like a poppy, yeah.
Clytemnestra, I think, is divorced, and a lesbian commune, and many other things. I liked it also because compared to the plays, which in a way maybe you felt forced to write about complex, identity things, and I think every playwright an actor should have the fun of it, and to do things where you might love a comedy in that sense, whatever kind of it is. It's kind of felt like a liberation in a way, away also from an identity of migration, of national identities, and a beautiful, virtuose violin exercise, a furious one. And it was at New York Theater Workshop for those who saw it. But let's go, I spoke enough, and I apologize if I did too much, to some audience questions, and then we hear an excerpt of Marry Me and have a little reception. Mia, can you?
Yes.
What was that? Oh, I'll do it. One second.
Thank you. I love the fact that you all have the courage to say, I don't know. I have a double question. One is, I missed one beat. You play in a sandbox, you go away and come back with 10 or 30 pages, and then what? Can they riff off those pages and create, or do they try to really stay with your text? And an overall question is, if another theater company came to you and said, oh, we really want to do this too, what's the biggest value of it? So.
The process is that it's not that different from how other people do it. It's just it's just that they are baked into the very early start of the pages. So I bring in pages, they read them, and in a way, because we know each other so intimately, the way they read them gives me notes of like, okay, that doesn't work, or like, oh, that's funny, you should be a funny character. And that helps me write the next 10 pages. And then we read them, and then that's like how it's a bit like a water spooling out. And then we keep doing that until there is a draft. But the draft then is not the end. I think I'm like an intense rewriter, and I like to rewrite, if you have the base code, to continue applying until it feels correct. Correct on their specific instruments. And I think that sort of is the process. And I mean, yes, there's definitely also just like, we do it and talk about it, and that also informs me, but maybe because of let's call them issues, I don't take well to notes, but I take well to what is being interpreted.
I have a couple of questions, which feel more like a conversation, but we're in this format of questions. The first is, have you ever thought about writing a play for a space?
Like for an actual physical space.
Well, that's what I do. I just produced a show on a boat called The Wind and the Rain, and just wondering if that's ever a part of your process or completely foreign to you. Like, is there a
Give me the
place?
space, give me the money, I will do it.
Nah.
I mean, Cocktails is kind of like that, right? We're writing, it's a play that is meant to be performed in people's apartments, and so it shifts every time we do it, or, so yeah, that's sort of site-specific, I guess.
Well, afterwards we can talk.
Right.
The other thing is I'm an executive artistic director, so I have left brain, right brain, both battling with each other all the time.
Yes,
And,
yes. Same boat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can we have a drink after? No. It just trying to, as a person who's always been somebody fighting the system, fighting the gig culture, making multi-year commitments to artists, it feels like the act of protest against all that is almost getting more difficult than ever, right? Like, I'm working with a director from Russia right now who wants to film all his rehearsals because that's a part of what he does, but it's a showcase in the downstairs part of La Mama, so equity doesn't allow that. And, you know, I think it's interesting to have like an ensemble in some ways, I think can shield you guys in part, if structured properly, against all that, which I think can be very counter to dreaming and true innovation. Like spending 4 years with a play isn't really economically viable, right? But you guys have other work and you're managing to do it, which I think is fantastic. And you also have thought partners, which is also really key to combating loneliness, as you say, right? You know, so how do you guys manage to, because I realize I'm talking rather than asking a question. I'm sorry, Frank. No, how do you guys manage to balance your work as a collective versus needing that law and order gig so you can pay your rent?
I think it's very like, again, we've only had 1 year, so we don't have a lot of data right now, but the way it's sort of been is that we tap in and out, and the projects are created based on who's available. I think this year was sort of manic in terms of like, you know, we got 2 commissions, we wrote 4 plays, did showcase, and it was just like an abundance of things, and we were just like, whoever's available and we'll do it. And I think now we're thinking like, let's like, we have these other things and those are optional. Let's do one thing and like put all of our energy into this one thing and see where it goes. And like prioritize maybe just 1 week out of the year instead of 8, and then like really prioritize that 1 week. I feel like everybody is quite illustrious in their careers, so it's always been a bit of a balance, and it's like trying to dance with and I think that's why we spent a lot of the fall working on this play Cocktails, which is site-specific because then it's easy to produce, but it's 2 people, and the way it's really kind of cool because we have 5 actors and 2 roles, so and I purposefully made these 2 roles identity-free. And so if it's Mitch and Chris Banner, who's not here, it would be a male gay couple. If it's Nicole and Mitch, which we're going to do in December, it's a straight couple. But the story still, there's stuff that happens by their dynamic changing, but the text is the same. And so we can play with that. And that's one of the ways we've like dealt with like availability. But this week that we have in Mercury Store is the first time since January that we have all 8 of us been together in one room. And it's just like finding, it's a lot of planning of making sure we find that calendar time way ahead of time, and then also compensating for it. And also, once we've decided it, to just commit to it and say no to other things, which is harder. But also, like, if you got like a TV gig that's gonna pay a lot, we're like, okay, how do we move around it? Because, TV is move aroundable. If they don't like shoot 60 hours in a row. And so, like, how do we maximize it? How do we also take care of each other so we don't feel guilty about it? How do we make sure, like, just a support system of like, that's awesome, great, congratulations. How do we work? And then there's like, an offer from the person who's not available, and then there's like a solving from all of us. If it's not going to work, making sure that it feels okay, and there's no like resentment, guilt, like all of those things that are just the negative feelings that will break us down. I think it's sort of trying to navigate those things.
I mean, I think you said everything. It's like a seesaw effect. The Libra in me is always trying to create some kind of balance. That's not going to happen. But it's very much seesawing, and I think all of us are very fortunate to choose art that we really care about and be picky about it. And it's just about a lot of communication,
But it is, I would just, one last thing, it is exciting that I have to pause and consider whether I do the 1 week of us together or the 3-month job, because what we're doing is so compelling. And so that's a very exciting place to be in.
In hearing and reading about your extraordinary list of credits, I've never seen Romeo and Juliet mentioned. I know there was another guy who had something to do with the writing, but I absolutely loved that production last year.
Wow.
Certainly one of my very favorite things of 23. Don't you want to take credit for that?
How do you credit it? Romeo and I wrote Romeo. It's weird. Also, there's like such a divide, weirdly, among scholars around that project, and it takes up a lot of letters in a bio. And there's always like a word limit.
Okay, so Julia and Romeo didn't make the cut. So one more thought, question, comment? Then I would say let's morph into the final moment and hear from Marry Me, and then we have a little reception. Again, I think a big round of applause. This is really amazing.
I just wanted to set it up a little bit. Marry Me, the Harry Horner character Esco is playing, is sort of spending the whole play trying to find their orgasm, because they are very good at giving it to other people, but they themselves have not received the joy. And finally finds this, sort of has been like cajoling Sappho, who is the wife of Willie Memnon. And they finally found their way to be together, just the two of them in private. I just want to say also, I wrote this play as a gift for Lee Silverman, and this section, which you might not know that at first glance, but I feel like I chose this and I asked them to come here and read this because I feel like this is a little bit like how I think collaboration is. It really vibrant and rewarding collaborative efforts are like this. So I'll leave you with it.
Yeah.
That's not a.
That's not it. What's
Sorry, no. I didn't mean that. I thought it would be different.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. I don't know what it's talking about. No, never mind.
No, say it.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
I just thought, maybe what I expected should change. So.
No, it shouldn't change. What did you expect?
It's like you're trying to climb a mountain, hoisting me along.
I am.
And it feels like you want me to be your supporting actor in your play. Of Act 1, we have sad, broken pussy, you cannot do the sex. To Act 5, what has been lost has been recovered by a caring, inquisitive vagina lover.
And are you not a caring, inquisitive vagina lover? Is this the part of the play where the straight girl has doubts and breaks the heart of the queer heartthrob, who after all this time has finally opened up their heart?
You opened up your heart?
I mean, it is closing.
No doubts. I promise. It's just... It's less a climb and more campfire. No?
Campfire.
You light a match that finds a ball of shredded paper. You catch some kindling and then maybe something more longer lasting. Most of the times you can't. It tries and fails and dies, but sometimes the flame finds a bark or a dried up branch, and the heat, it moves up, eats up the wood, scorching it black, and if the wind blows just the right speed, just the right direction that both fuels and protects the flame, then suddenly your whole body is at flame point temperature and it all just pops. The tip of your clit, tops of your toes, the veins behind your eyeballs pop, and now I feel I might die, but also I want to hold on to it all for as long as I can, and in that effort everything stops working, like, yeah. And then somehow you remember to breathe again, and the flames quiet down, but they aren't gone.
No.
No, we're just past peak point, but feed it more fuel. Give it wind, give it protection, and there it goes again. And again. And again. And again, infinitely. As long as you want. As long as you can, as long as you feed it.
Oh,
Did you just come a little?
yes.
Same. Come.
Well, so again, thank you, Hansol, and thank you, the pack. And live, as we see, it's a game, it's a fight, you know, and it's about puzzle, and it's something to play with. So and to create new ways of things that materialize ultimately on planet Earth. And you are doing this. So thank you, and I hope you will join us for a little glass of wine. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Also, I have one shameless plug. We are having a fundraiser December 10th to the 14th. We're doing a benefit performance of cocktails. So if anyone is interested in coming, please check out our website at thepackcompany.org. You can get tickets and come join us. It'll be fun. Thanks.
Idiot.
That was the better decision.
But like,
I know, to make some change, we have to. We gotta write the plays, we gotta write
yes, everything. It's really
I know. Do you want me to? Oh, there we go.
Oh, cool. Hey.
Also with the back. I just graduated. I know. Thank you. It's awesome. I'm very grateful to you. I didn't know it was brings me effort. I mean, the stuff that comes through. Yeah, well, it's great. It's just yeah. What's your relationship to Oh my God, of course. Take it easy.
And I was like, yes. And I was like, wow.
Did you get a chance to see it?
When I read it, when I saw it.
Oh, really?
Kind of just like, fantastic. I had like
And this is in Hamburg. This is the great, and it will be produced as a result due next to many others. So these both are
Oh, yes.
and so on it.
So she was the Nora. All around the world, and most people had more showings than the show.
Is that the one, the doll's house where Nora was tall and were you in with Rita?
This was her.
Yes, I saw it. You saw it in Korea? Yes. At Algiers Center. Yes. Yeah, we were. I think we were loading in next with Manuel Munch or something. Or
Do you want a drink?
I'm good right now.
I would love a drink. Yes.
Right.
White.
Oh, for this.
Oh no! What's the drink?
Would you grab it on your
I went to Penn State for music theater and Yale for.
Because I went to Yale.
Oh,
Way before you.
what program?
I was in theater management, but that's funny.
These are kind of logistical questions.
An artistic yeah. So I run on guard arts. I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's why I did it.
So you did a spread with both?
Yeah, we just finished. Sarah Gancher and Jared was actually at Wind in the Rain, and it was Orange and
My God, that's amazing.
we spent 2.5 years developing the show. That's why all these things you were saying about producers and really, I do everything. Have you had a chance to see any of these plays? I don't even know. Really? When you had to start off with which ones are collaborative teams?
Oh, yeah.
And then, you see Romeo and Juliet?
Yes.
That's right.
That's like part of like
Mary Meisner's my creative producer in residence.
And I did
Oh, nice. I haven't heard. Oh my God. Yes, that was awesome. Oh, yes. We're babies right now. I wish I knew more about producing, about planning,
I also know your director.
yeah, actually, Romeo and Juliet, I co-directed with Dustin.
Okay, did you all get
I mean, Dustin, me, Mitch. I know, I'm really good together.
This is so cool.
And like,
You may have heard of it.
This is the first I've seen in the flesh. It's a one-heat one. We became very good friends.
I'm throwing out my iPhone and I'm getting this.
Talk about really. That's so interesting. You can search things up in the way to life by stats. You did it.
I actually had not.
When all the pictures closed down, it's like a site specific.
wow, that's crazy. 20 miles.
Whatever I write in there, I then search for that term. The reason I know why.
Yes, it's cool.
Are you
I mean,
really one woman.
curious to see.
He's talking
But you have to
very well than
they're all mine.
true story, and you have to use your language because it's his most diverse ground.
I didn't know everything.
Race.
No, I mean,
And the family threatened him.
I felt
So he never really got a full
University
lifeline.
this is a
That's what
and we worked
coffee
and then we talked about
invited by Sideshow.
that we had to
Trying to get it started. Very thing, just on the outskirts of I mean, those audience was the audience. No, that's why people were very wealthy white people. Next day going into night and that was quite because I was concerned front.
I mean,
So
I
the
recently
piece was confronting
theater.
Aha!
And I was going to see a friend's show at Playwrights, and I was late.
But you know, people didn't
I was like, okay. It was called.
I mean, like you would, because you could see their faces so clearly. It was just like the whole thing for them.
Now one of the company productions was doing
Yeah, I remember.
then I was like, I couldn't get in. I was like, okay, what else is there? And then I shoot into the
We often
thing.
talked.
I kid you not, that was still my favorite all year. Sobbing, texting my mom about it. And I would be there to see it if I didn't miss my friend's show. Love her, sorry. Give her the flowers out. But yeah, so it is like.
That's also like a dream.
Oh my God,
I see those types of things because
so
like outside of New York, they're like theaters
on stage. And then they're watching and they compete against one another for the privilege of also, there's
bodies getting space in a room. Yeah, 500 You found one? You must have loved it.
because I think the piece reverberate is really particular.
Well, you have good taste.
Wise woman.
Would you like some? Or would you like white? Red?
Right now, we're really just going on a series of what I feel like how
Us? I mean, it's been ad hoc, but like for the next year, we're talking about being on the billboards and slowing down a bit. Yeah, I want to learn out.
Oh, you do? You probably This one is really good. California white wine is not good.
So what did you think?
Yes, hi. Thank you for your very lovely compliment.
You know, and I've seen 3 other of your plays, and I did
Oh my goodness.
I did not mean to diminish any of that. But
True. They're all different. They're all
I
different.
don't know
Can you guess?
how much, but maybe one was what I thought it was now.
Leader.
For the archive.
No, I love it, but not too
We
slick.
know things. We had, you know, Randy Barry.
films